Yo, dudes, the Empire's pretty chill. Maybe you could, join it or something.
Hey everyone, Lucamus Prime here, so it's time for another review in the Batman franchise, and today guys, I'm going to be reviewing what is the sequel to 1989's Batman, and guys, that sequel is for none other than 1992's Batman Returns, which is of course the sequel released in 1992, directed once again by Tim Burton, returning to direct, and so my opinion on this movie guys is, I'm going to say right off the bat that this is a movie which I think is pretty underrated. It's been praised by fans, but some people don't really seem to talk about it very much, so that's why I consider it to be underrated. And now, sure, while, the 1999 movie is, of course, my favourite out of the Burton Schumacher era, this movie, in my opinion, is definitely an amazing sequel, and one of the best superhero sequels of all time, in my opinion, and it's a movie that I've grown to love more and more as I rewatch it, and now, guys, compared to when I was younger, I now regard this sequel as my third favourite Batman movie of all time after The Dark Knight and Batman 1989. So yeah, this is definitely a great movie in my opinion, guys, and a really amazing sequel to the first movie. So what do I think is great about the movie? So let's talk about the pros of the movie first, guys. So it's got a really amazing cast, guys. So reprising their roles from the first film, you've of course got Michael Keaton returning as the Cape Crusader himself, Batman. And once again, he gave a phenomenal performance in this movie as Batman and Bruce Wayne. He still definitely got it in this sequel, and he just nails the role in my opinion, and he plays him so well. And also returning, of course, is well, you've got Michael Gough returning as Bruce Wayne's loyal butler, Alfred Pennyworth, who once again does an amazing job in the role, and he's my favourite Alfred of all time. May he rest in peace. And also returning as well is Pat Hingle, reprising his role as Commissioner Gordon as well. Definitely a very good supporting role in my opinion, although he didn't have very much screen time in this movie compared to the first one, which I didn't really like very much, and yeah. And I think that's about it for the cast who returned from the first movie, I think, and yeah, there's probably others who also return, I'm not sure, but those are the ones I can remember pretty well. And on to a new cast, guys. So, of course, this movie is known for introducing the villains being Catwoman and the Penguin to a big screen, and they're both, of course, played by Michelle Pfeiffer and Danny DeVito, and I've got to say that those two, in my opinion, are the best live-action portrayals of the characters. Wow, they were just absolutely phenomenal. So, Michelle Pfeiffer's Catwoman, she did such an absolutely amazing job bringing Catwoman to a big screen. Oh, wow. She was so phenomenal in the role, absolutely brilliant. And in my opinion, no one can play the role better than her. No one, in my opinion. Not even the new Catwoman, Zoe Kravitz, can play the role better than Michelle Pfeiffer. No way. Not in my opinion. In my opinion, she's absolutely irreplaceable in the role because she was so phenomenal in this movie, guys. And her performance was absolutely excellent, especially in the scenes. She did a great job playing Selina Kyle before she becomes Catwoman. And then when she becomes Catwoman, boy, was it a brilliant scene, in my opinion. And as Catwoman herself, was she brilliant. And she has many iconic quotes such as, "I'm Catwoman, hear me roar," and many others as well, alongside that. And on to Danny DeVito as a Penguin. Oh boy, right. Danny DeVito absolutely nailed it as a Penguin in this movie, guys. And he's my favourite role of him of all time. And wow, was he excellent in this movie as him. Oh, wow. In my opinion, he played him so perfectly, guys. And was a very entertaining villain. Really great in my opinion. And very menacing and scary as well. Oh, wow. Definitely pretty amazing. And in my opinion, just like I said with Catwoman, guys, no one, in my opinion, can play a Penguin better than Danny DeVito. Not even Colin Farrell from the Batman, in my opinion, can top him. And yeah, and neither can even people from, say, the Gotham show, for example, in my opinion. In my opinion, no one can top Michelle Pfeiffer or Danny DeVito as Catwoman and Penguin. No one. And I also as well like the addition as well of Christopher Walken as a new sort of villain-like character being Max Schreck. And he has a pretty evil plan where he wants to build a power plant to supply Gotham with energy, although he's opposed by the mayor of Gotham. But Selina Kyle finds out that the power plant is actually meant to drain Gotham of its energy, which will bring the city under Shrek's control. and I feel like he'll be untouchable by the authorities. So yeah, he wants to basically rule Gotham in a way. And then of course he pushed her out a window, or attempted to kill her. But she of course saw as a fall when a group of cats unintentionally bring her back to life, yeah. And she vows revenge. And yeah, the cats in the movie are definitely very adorable as well, guys. I definitely love cats, and yeah. But Christopher Walken did such an amazing job playing Max Schreck in this movie, guys. Probably my favourite role of him as well, definitely. And furthermore, guys, now, as well as the cast, one thing that I definitely think is a highlight of this movie, guys, is that, in my opinion, it is the darkest Batman movie of all time. Yeah, like, I'm not kidding, guys. I think it's even darker than The Dark Knight. I think it's the darkest one ever. I mean, there's a reason, guys, why this movie is rated 15 where I live. It's rated 15, just like its previous movie. So yeah, because this movie is pretty dark, and in my opinion, guys, it's perfect for a Batman movie. Like, I don't care if people are going to say Batman's a kid's character, because in my opinion, Batman is not for children, guys. Not at all. And in my opinion, the darkness of this movie fades so well. And I think the idea of it taking place during Christmas was also definitely a good addition as well. It's favorable to the winter season, guys, as well. And the idea of the darker tone taking place on Christmas is pretty nifty, and it works so well, in my opinion. Like, oh, wow. And the darkness definitely fades so well because, you know, Batman, like I said, guys, is not for children, and this definitely shows it. Because there's lots of dark moments in this movie which are pretty brutal, guys. There's a reason why it's rated 15 where I live, and I didn't see this movie for the first time, guys, until I was around, say, I think I was actually 15 when I saw it, because, you know, when I was younger, I did, like, you know, a marathon of watching all the classic Batman movies, yeah. And this one definitely had some scary moments, in my opinion. I mean, there's even some dark moments from the very beginning of the movie as well. I'm not kidding. And plus, when it comes to a cast, guys, as well, I do like how, of course, it opens with the origin story of Penguin, where Oswald Cobblepot is, of course, deformed, and they feel that he's not going to be welcomed into Gotham's high society due to his appearance, so they throw him into a sewer where he's found by the penguins, of course, under the Gotham Zoo. What's cool, guys, is that the father of Oswald, called Tucker Cobblepot, is played by Paul Reubens, and what's actually cool, guys, is he later reprised his role as a different version of Oswald's father in the Gotham show, which is pretty awesome. So yeah, you have Pee Wee Herman himself playing Penguin's father in two things, which is pretty cool, isn't it? And furthermore, guys, it's also really cool. This movie also features an appearance by Doug Jones as a member of the Penguin's gang, who I know for being a contortionist and a mime artist, guys. And although I do like him more in the Hellboy movies, I thought, and also for his performance as a body with Silver Surfer in Fantastic Four: Rise of Silver Surfer, I think you're definitely going to this movie as one of the Penguin's gang members, you know, the Thing Clown. I think it's the one that does all those gymnastics to kidnap the mayor's baby in that stage plot. I don't know. Maybe. I think it might be. And also, guys, even though the atmosphere is pretty depressing in this movie, in my opinion, it's appropriate. Like, I don't care, you know, what critics say about it not being appropriate for children, because, you know, like I've already said a couple of times, Batman is not for children. This movie was perfect as it is. And in my opinion, a very worthy sequel. And the villains, in my opinion, were done very well to the source material as well. Definitely. Also, guys, as well, aside from the cast and the action and the darkness I've just talked about, you know, the action is definitely pretty amazing. I love how the movie begins with a fight scene where Penguin's gang is attacking, you know, that Christmas festival, and we see Batman in action. And I do also definitely really adore the music composed once again by Danny Elfman, who is, of course, a frequent collaborator of director Tim Burton. And his music, in my opinion, was once again great to listen to. He once again brought back his iconic Batman theme song. But I do love how he also included new music. And in my opinion, his music also fitted the dark tone of the movie, because in my opinion, it was pretty dark, his music. Like, it was pretty darker, depressing, and maybe even better than the 1989's music. But I still love 1989's music for what it is, really, because I think it's very iconic and memorable. But this music is also, in my opinion, pretty memorable as well. In addition, guys, so if I'm on the topic of, say, dark things, guys, there's probably, like, numerous examples as to why this movie is pretty dark, because at the start of the movie, Penguin, as a child, of course, kills the Cobblepot's cat when it's brought toward his cage. So, yeah, that's a pretty dark scene, in my opinion. One of the reasons why we wanted to get rid of him, because he wouldn't fit into the society of Gotham. And in addition, guys, in the fight scene at the beginning of the movie when Batman defeats the Penguins gang at the Christmas festival, the engine of his Batmobile at the back sets one of them on fire. So yeah, that's pretty brutal in my opinion. Definitely reason why it's a dark movie in my opinion. And in addition as well, there's also the scene, of course, where Penguin is, of course, rewarded by Gotham for saving the mayor's baby in that staged kidnapping. And then, of course, he says a pretty cool quote about, that his nose could be bleeding. And then when one of these staff members asks what he means, he bites his nose. That's definitely a pretty brutal scene, in my opinion, guys. And yeah, pretty brutal. And it shows how great the character Penguin is such a great villain. And also, when it comes as well to the final commentation of the movie, guys, I definitely really enjoyed it. It was definitely brilliant, in my opinion. Very well done. And I think Penguin's fight with Batman is also pretty well made and very well choreographed as well. Definitely very good. And also as well, I definitely as well liked Batman's interaction with Selina as well. It was definitely very good to see. And also, of course, the scene where he takes off his mask. Although there is a bit of a bad quality, we'll say, with the mask scene, which I'll get to in the bad qualities of the movie. There's a few which I prefer the first movie. I think it's still a great movie. And I think there's probably really dark moments in that scene where, of course, after, Max Shrecker has attempts to shoot Batman, Selina, of course, confronts him, and she's able to kill him by tasing him, and, powering it up, with some power nearby, which causes him, to burn up. And then when Batman finds him, he's a charred corpse. And yeah, that was definitely a very scary shot, in my opinion, guys. Pretty frightening, and yeah. Goodness me. So what she did was, she survived from gunshot wounds, as reference, of course, the 9 lives of a cat, and she electrocutes herself and Shrek with a stun gun, which caused a massive explosion. But then, of course, she disappears. But, of course, if you see the movie he's ending, you'll be aware that she is, of course, alive, yeah. And then after the Penguins fall into water after being wounded by Batman in their fight, he falls into a sewer's toxic water, of course, and yeah. And he tries to shoot Batman from behind, but he dies from his injuries from the toxic sewage. And then we get a pretty emotional scene, in my opinion, guys, which is a pretty good send-off to a character, where the Penguins see that he's died, and they lay his body to rest in the water. Definitely a very emotional scene, in my opinion, guys, especially considering this is for a villain we're talking about, yeah. Like, wow. The way they, sends off Penguin was done really well, in my opinion. Yeah. And also, the ending of the movie is also very heartwarming as well, guys, because as Alfred is driving Bruce home, he sees the silhouette of Selina in an alley, but he only finds her cat, who he decides to take home with him, to keep away from the snow, of course. And then we see a bat signal appearing in the sky, and then we see Catwoman watching, and she survived. So yeah, that was a very heartwarming ending. And in my opinion, guys, that is the perfect ending of the franchise. I like to pretend that the two follow-ups don't exist, in my opinion, because in my opinion, they're just standalone or non-canon sequels, in my opinion. And yeah, and this ending definitely perfectly closed the story, in my opinion. Absolutely. So, now on to the bad quality of the movie. So, you know how I said at the end of the movie, you do see a bat signal? There's a bit of an inconsistency there, because you'll, of course, be whether Batman gets framed in the movie. And also, what is confusing is he never clears his name in by the end of the movie. But the only thing we get about him clearing his name is a bat signal appearing, implying that the law has accepted that he's not a criminal. So, yeah. It's making me think that they forget him off screen, and they were able to release him from his warranty. So yeah, but we should have at least showed him clearing his name as well. And also, guys, just like Batman 89, there's also the absence of Arkham Asylum, so it's disappointing how it doesn't appear in this movie or its previous movie. And also as well, that there's also a bit of an infamous continuity error with regards to Batman revealing his identity to Selina in a confrontation scene at the end of the movie, because when he tears off his mask, the black eye makeup he wears vanishes. So yeah, that's definitely a big problem right there, how his eye makeup disappears out of nowhere. Really a big continuity error, pretty famous in my opinion, because a lot of people talk about it. And yeah, so yeah, but on the last four, guys, in my opinion, this is definitely a great sequel to the first movie, and underrated DC movie as well, in my opinion, because not a lot of people seem to talk about it. And yeah, and I regard it now as my third favorite Batman movie of all time after re-watches, and I love it a lot more. definitely a really worthy sequel, guys. And in my opinion, what is the true end of the era of this franchise of Batman, absolutely. Because I like to pretend the era by Joel Schumacher doesn't exist, really. That's what I like to pretend, really. So yeah. So guys, this is me reviewing Batman Returns from 1992, directed once again by Tim Burton. A great sequel in my opinion. Although not as good as the first movie in my opinion. I have a couple of issues with it, but it's still, in my opinion, definitely a great sequel. And yeah. And like I said, I don't care about, you know, it being too dark. I mean, for one thing, guys, you know, if you guys think it's too dark, then you'll be happy to know that there is some campy moments in this movie. So yeah, you know, so it's not entirely dark, you know, so don't worry about it, you know. Just don't regard it as being, you know, too dark as a bad thing, in my opinion. And that's what I'd say, you know, don't regard it as being too dark being a bad thing, because that's what Batman's supposed to be. You know, Batman is not the children, guys. So yeah. So guys, if I was to rank this movie out of 10, well guys, I would rank this movie an excellent 9 out of 10. So yeah, my first favorite Batman movie of all time, and definitely a very inspirational movie which inspired lots of things, really. Like our 1989 movie inspired things like the Batman animated series, for example. And this was definitely an excellent movie. And in my opinion, no one can play Penguin or Catwoman better than Danny DeVito and Michelle Pfeiffer. No one, in my opinion. And Michael Keaton to this day is my favourite standalone Batman and movie actor, absolutely. And yeah, and he definitely returned, did a great job in this movie. And in my opinion, the era of this, you know, Batman franchise ends with him, absolutely. I like to say the 2 sequels don't exist, so yeah. In my opinion, Returns was a perfect ending, so yeah. So no drill, guys, be sure to give this video a like. Also, leave your comments what you guys think about Returns if you've seen it, what your thoughts are on it. Also, be sure to join Team Prime by pressing subscribe for movies coming in the future. If you'd like to be a member, you can press on and use the or you can go to the description, and I'll see you all later.